Welcome to the Conscious Radio Network's YouTube channel. Become enlightened, have fun, and tell all your friends and family to share with everyone they know. You can find us on Facebook and stay up to date on our Facebook group, or find us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Our podcasts can be found on Libsyn, iHeart, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. Most of all, remember to go to our official website at consciousradionetwork.com for podcasts, hosts, future shows, and scheduling. We also want to welcome our international audience. Don't stop now. Enjoy the community. Subscribe today.
This is the Conscious Radio Network.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you might be on a spaceship we call Earth. Welcome to Conscious Radio Network's podcast series, The Seance. I'm your host, Reverend Dr. Paul Meckes. If this is your first time tuning in, please click subscribe, like, share, comment, and also don't forget to follow wherever you listen to your podcasts. Today, Opportunities in Transitions. Kristen Weiss's new book, Legacy of the Witch. She conjures up an action-packed supernatural mysteries based on contemporary and historical magical practices. Her witchy heroines aren't perfect, and neither are their familiars, but they're smart, they struggle, they succeed, writing in a house high on a hill in the Colorado woods, and occasionally ventures out for wine and chocolate. Yes. She is best known for her Doyle Witch and Rita Hayworth metaphysical mystery novels. Are you ready to be enchanted? Just turn the page and voila. Let's welcome to the show for the first time, Kristen Weiss.
Hi, Paul.
How you doing? That was a little tongue twister there. Blah, blah, blah.
Sorry about that. I'm going to have to rewrite that bio.
No worries. It occasionally happens, and just on with it. It's
That's life.
Later. How long have you been writing?
It's been over 10 years now. I worked overseas for about 20 years. I was doing something called microcredit, and which is a sort of aid program. And I came home and I felt like I could do anything because I've been working in all these crazy environments in Afghanistan and Kyrgyzstan. I thought if I can make things happen there, I can certainly do it in the United States, where we have electricity on a regular basis and the roads are good, and you can, basically count on the legal system to back up your contracts. But I just didn't really fit anywhere in. Everybody wanted to interview me, but nobody wanted to hire me because my background was just so oddball. And I guess I didn't do a very good job of marketing myself. But finally, after floundering around and getting into some jobs that didn't really suit me, I decided to try writing, which had been my dream since I was a child. So it was kind of a Hail Mary thing. And I got into it very slowly. I kept going back overseas to do sort of temporary work, and I was writing in between to make ends meet. And then it eventually became a full-time job. So yay.
Heck yeah. Yeah. So how many books do you have out now, including your newest one?
I have over 60.
Whoa. Yeah. That's busy. That is busy.
Yeah. Once I started writing, I really went at it.
Yeah. Now the genre that you focus on, which is metaphysical fiction, what is that?
So metaphysical fiction deals with the paranormal, and it deals with themes of things like spirituality and transformation. And usually the hero or heroine is going through some sort of self-transformation throughout the story. Although that may not be the main story. The main story could be something else. Like in my case, I structured it around a paranormal mystery novel, but the character is definitely going through an arc of transformation.
Yeah. Now, are there any little bits based on what would they say in the movie industry is based on some sort of reality of something that may have actually happened, but names of the characters have changed?
A lot of it is, bits and pieces. One of the magical practice that I discuss in this book is called bracheret, or powwow, which is a Pennsylvania Dutch folk magic. So that is very real. And I try to I did a lot of research on it and tried to be as authentic about that as possible, though I'm sure I made some mistakes. But my family came from Pennsylvania, Dutchland. And I remember my father telling me about some folk remedies that were used on him, which I now understand were braucherei. When I was a kid, he was telling me, I just thought, well, that's weird and superstitious. And now I'm like, wow, that was actually really cool. And I wish I'd asked him more when he was still alive. So that's true. And some of the incidents that happened, I had this weird thing happen. My sister and I were doing sort of a self-guided hex sign tour through Pennsylvania Dutch country, and we got kind of lost. And so we were pulling up to an intersection of which road and something else. And my GPS went crazy. And it was like, go left, go right, go left, go right. We're looking at each other at the corner of which road thinking, okay, which is it? And finally it settles on left. And so we're like, okay, so we keep going, we go left and we keep driving and we round a bend and there's this black cat sitting right in the middle of the road, just watching us approach. My sister was driving and she was kind of like, oh, I'll just honk at it and get out of the way. And I'm all, no. Let the cat do what it wants to do. We're on which road, and this is really weird. And so the cat stared at us, and then it ran away. But it was a very eerie moment. And I did research on which road, which went around which hill. I learned there's several different stories, so it's unclear what the actual history of it is. Some say that it's where the witches would have their midnight rites. This is several centuries old story. And some say it's where the Braukers, the Pennsylvania Dutch folk healers, when they would draw the illness or the curse off a person, they would usually put it into something and then they would discard it on Witch Hill. So I don't know which is true. Either story is cool.
Yeah. Now that's another similarity. I grew up around the Pennsylvania Dutch from Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Really?
So, but I've lived in Florida since I was 9 years. Well, since I moved here when I was going on 10. Mm-hmm. But I'm very familiar with the area. And what's really intriguing are the eeriness of the old stone homes up there that are the old original stone. It's like, oh, it just gives you that.
Yeah, that and for me, the forests are so dense.
Yes.
In that area, and I totally understand why. Excuse me, why the old Pennsylvania farmers thought that there were bad things in the woods. And especially, centuries ago, if you break your ankle and you're out in the middle of nowhere in the woods, you could die. I mean, if you're by yourself, you may not be getting out of there. Yeah. So it is spooky, even today, I think, but it's beautiful as well. So it's really eerie, gorgeous, lovely, lovely part of the country.
Yeah. The rolling hills, mountains. It's unbelievable territory. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've been there. But so where does the mysticism fit in compared to the magic?
Okay, so mystics their intention was to transform themselves so they could see the world differently and they could see the divine in the world and thereby connect with the divine. So magic, the magician, like not the stage magician, but somebody who's a witch or whatever, they're trying to transform themselves as well and see the world differently. But their goal is to change the world. So change themselves so they can change the world. So they're very closely aligned. They definitely intersect, but one's trying to change the world and one's just trying to experience it differently.
Mm-hmm. Now, for years, for the longest time, people were like, well, there's no such thing as warlocks. There's nothing but witches. Is there a difference? Is there such thing as a warlock, a male witch compared to the female witch?
Yeah, I mean, I have always assumed so. I mean, if you go back to the witch trials back in the Middle Ages, men were being killed as well. Mm-hmm. So for a long time, people have believed that men could be, witches. I guess, I think the spiritual practice or the magical practice is what it is. And I think anybody can do it if they want to dedicate their lives to it or their time to it. I don't think it matters if you're a man or a woman. I mean, I get that witch is kind of considered the feminine and warlock the masculine, but whatever.
Yeah, exactly. It's all it is a label. It's a word.
Yeah.
And people are like, why? It's not that thing. It's warlock. Well, how do you know? Have you met one? But I know a bunch myself, and the masculine side recognize themselves as witches.
Yeah.
Or warlock. They're like, it's just a name. So,
yeah, whatever they want to call themselves. It's the practice and the belief system that they're following. I think that is the real identifier.
Yeah. 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 Now there is an interesting connection between the ancient Greek wisdom and the spirituality or modern spirituality. What is that connection?
I think it starts with Neoplatonism. So Neoplatonism came about around the 2nd century AD. And it was basically a mashup of all these different Greek philosophies, and particularly looking at the more mystical side of it. The questions like, what is the structure of the universe, and why are we here, and what is the meaning of life? So the big questions. And then during the Renaissance, when they were looking back at the classical Greek and Roman civilization and trying to revitalize it, a lot of people really glommed onto Neoplatonism because it was a very nice synthesis. And it also kind of dovetailed a lot with Christian mysticism at the time. So, for example, if you look at a tarot deck, you'll see Christian allegories in it. And you'll also see a lot of the ancient Greek stuff, philosophy. So, for example, in a tarot deck, you'll find temperance and justice and strength, which are 3 of the Greek virtues, specifically Stoic virtues, but you see it in other places as well. And it's certainly a part of Neoplatonism. And you'll see cards like the Chariot, which refers to Plato's chariot, where Plato saw the soul as being divided into 3 parts, where the charioteer was reason. And then he's trying to manage these 2 horses, and one is will and one is desire. I don't think it was called desire. I think there was another word for it, but basically desire. And so he's trying to harness those 2. And one's sort of pulling up towards heaven and the gods, the other's pulling down towards earth. And the point wasn't that one horse was better than the other, but that you have to manage them both, and you have to drive, the course that you want, that your reason decides is correct in that moment. But then you also see a lot of Christian stuff, like in the older tarot decks, there is the Pope and the Papess, and like Judgment is the Day of Judgment sort of is a very Christian thing. So at any rate, Neoplatonism wove into all these practices. It wove into tarot, it got into alchemy, it got into Hermeticism, and it just stayed there. So tarot decks today will have a temperance card, and they will have the justice card, and they will have the chariot card. And when we interpret them, sometimes we interpret them through a modern lens, but when you go deeper into the meanings of these things, which heavily influence a lot of magical schools that still exist today, you see more of the ancient Greek and what's that really mean for them, and what is the more spiritual significance or magical or mystical significance of these concepts. So I think it's just fascinating. And the more I dig into tarot and the ancient Greek roots, the more everything kind of seems to open up for me. And,
So you're not only an author, but you're also a practitioner.
Yes.
What are the modalities that you do practice?
Mainly tarot. I tarot, and I've developed my own deck, which that's a different story.
That's a different show.
Yeah, mainly tarot. I'm actually more attracted to mysticism than to magic, and just trying to see the world differently and be a better person and interact in a more healthy way with the people around me and with the divine when I can catch glimpses of it, which I confess is rare, is too rare for my liking. But I think I really believe there is a lot to magic. I think a lot of, how can I put this? I think the psychology is almost a form of a lot of modern magic. Like if you look at shamanism, I think shamanism is a way to wellness, where the shaman goes down into the underworld, which is like the subconscious, and is like bringing things out and trying to bring yourself to wholeness. And psychologists are doing that today, but they're using different methods. But the concept of, going down and bringing things up and healing through that is very, very, very old.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, what are the opportunities for personal growth that come from knocking at that door during transitional periods, such as that midlife crisis, so to speak, and times of stress?
Well, again, that's actually kind of shamanic too, since we were speaking of shamans. So the shamans believe that in order to become, right, there's a lot of different shamanic traditions, so I cannot obviously speak for all of them, but I'm speaking for many of them, where there's this idea that in order to become a shaman, one usually goes through some sort of dismemberment. And it could be a physical dismemberment or it could be an emotional dismemberment. Like I have a friend who grew up in a family of shamans and she lost pretty much her entire family within a year.
Wow.
Through various illnesses and accidents. And that was when she was quite young. And that was her, she doesn't call herself a shaman, but I think she kind of is a shaman. And I think that was her dismemberment. And I think we all go through transitions which can act as dismemberments, like the midlife crisis. When I went through it, I experienced really deep depression, my emotions, because of, hormonal things, every emotion was just heightened. And I realized I have to either go on drugs or deal with this stuff.
Yeah.
And I decided to try to deal with this stuff. I did go on hormonal therapy at one point where I was just like, this is enough. So I'm definitely not knocking medical professionals getting involved with that sort of thing. But I think when these things are coming up, it's a good opportunity to face them and to deal with it. So I ended up dealing with stuff from my childhood that had been weighing me down, things about myself that I really did not like and needed to change and did change. And I ended up making some very big positive changes in my life, which is, I'm 55 now. And gosh, I wish I'd made those changes when I was, 30, but I made them and I'm much happier for it. But I think it's not just, midlife crisis. I think, I'm going through another transition right now. I recently lost my sister in a car accident and it's just been one bit of terrible news associated with that after another. And it's been super, super hard. But it's also, again, forced me to make some changes and to step up in areas of my life where I don't think I would have done it now if this hadn't happened. I'm certainly not glad it happened. I'm not really getting a silver lining out of it. But the point is, when you face the garbage that most of us end up facing at some point in our lives, there are choices you can make. And some of those choices can lead you to level up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is kind of what my book is about. It's about a woman who's coming out of a tragedy. She's trying to make the next steps in her life, and she runs into different problems and misconceptions. Like, we all have these misbeliefs about ourselves and the world around us, and she's facing that, and she's going through this big transformation, which is kind of the metaphysical fiction part of it. And it's woven in with the metaphysics and the magic and this murder mystery story.
And that was going to segue in my next question.
Oh, sorry.
Well, no worries. It helps. That your experiences, your own life experiences, are metamorphosized within the stories and in your writing in these books.
Oh, for sure. I mean, they say write what you know, and that's not entirely true. We all have to use our imaginations. But, we all go through difficult times, and I'm going through the midlife time, and when you kind of look back and you look forward and you realize what's in front of you is a lot shorter or a bit shorter than what was behind you. And you start wondering about, what if I'd done this instead? What would my life be like? And what will my life be like if I continue on this path? Should I change it? So I think her story is, she's going through different things than me, but I think, than I have, but I think, again, we all go through these transition periods, these opportunities or doorways where we decide if we're going to walk through them or not. Yeah.
Now let's get into your your newest book, Legacy of the Witch, is not out yet, correct?
It comes out on April 30th, 2024.
Okay. So let me bring bring a picture of that up there. That way people can see what it looks like and look for it. So where can people find this book once it's out?
You can find it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, Google Play, Apple Books. And I'm selling it in the United States and Canada. I'm also selling it directly from my website.
Awesome. Which, those who are listening, it's www.kristenweiss.com. WEISS.
Yes.
So let's dive into the book without giving too much information away. What they can expect.
Okay, so it is a murder mystery. So it's structured in many ways like a classic murder mystery and I usually try to kill somebody in my first chapter to kind of keep things moving along. Sounds awful, but it's different in that the main character, April, she ends up sort of on a whim joining this online mystery school, and she starts receiving untarot cards and emails from the mystery school, and the messages she's getting from the mystery school parallel the experiences she's having. So it's kind of a vehicle to show or to hint at what's happening inside of her inner life, instead of just have her doing a big monologue about how she feels. But also for like to hint at things that she still hasn't figured out, where the reader can possibly figure it out as well. And what I've done was I included the emails, and she also gets these worksheets, which she initially is ignoring, but then she starts kind of working with them. So she's processing all this stuff. And so there's links in the books and QR codes in the book, so readers can also download the worksheets if they want to work along with it. Cool. And with the Untarot deck, there's also I created an Untarot app. So if readers want to get that, they can also play along with and do their own Untarot readings electronically. It's all included in the book. No extra charge.
Wow. So it's almost like a choose your own adventure. You actually get into the story, get into the character and work with the character and kind of do your own thing with the character.
Yeah, I mean, you can just read it as a straight mystery and not participate, or if you want, you can participate in it more and make it a little more interactive. So in some ways, it's a bit of experimental fiction, I guess, because of all the little weird extra things you can do. Yeah. But I just hope it's fun. I had a lot of fun making the Untarot deck. I think it's a really beautiful deck. And I'm not saying that because I'm a great artist. I use digital collage, but it's still really pretty. And it's fun. And it goes back to a lot of the ancient Greek ideas about tarot and, these bigger meaning of life issues and bringing meaning to our lives. So hopefully, if the readers want to go on that journey, they can.
Huh. Wow. So you said, okay, this comes out in April.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Now, as far as your website, what can people find on your website? Your books, the tarot decks, or is the tarot deck is it digital, or you can also have a physical deck?
I'm thinking of making a physical one and selling it direct from my website, but I haven't done it yet. Right now, it's just digital. So it's an app, so you can actually push a button and do a 3-card draw or a 1-card draw. And then get more information about it. On my website, you can see all my books. I've got a blog. Mainly book news.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. That's a cool website. I like that.
Oh, thank you.
The Cannoli Caper.
Yeah, I also write funny mysteries.
Yeah.
With silly names like Revenge of the ZD and the Cannoli Caper and Planet of the Grapes.
Oh, that's cool. So they can find all this stuff too on Kindle, Nook,
yes,
Apple Books, Google Play, Kodo. The Kobo. Never heard of that one. Kodo. Okay.
I think it's Canadian.
All right. All right. So let's we got a little bit of time left.
Okay.
Let's get into people love the metaphysical and paranormal and stuff. Have you personally had have any paranormal, metaphysical and paranormal, especially paranormal experiences that kind of swayed you into some of your writing as well?
It kind of started out. I went overseas. I joined the Peace Corps when I was in my 20s. And when you're in the Peace Corps, you can't take a lot of luggage with you. And I knew I was going to be, no TV, none of that. There was no internet at the time. It was in the early 90s. So the internet was just at the beginning stages. And I knew I wasn't going to have access to it. So I brought a tarot deck thinking I was potentially going to learn how to use it. And I did learn how to use it. And then the more I traveled around these countries, I started seeing more and more of their magical traditions, which just were fascinating, like the shamanism in Estonia and the the superstitions or practices about tying rags to a tree for making little wish trees. And so you tie a rag to the tree, and then when the rag dissolved and fell off, then your wish would come true. And I mean, also so many, the fortune tellers, you know, and the bazaars. And it just got me more and more interested in different global practices. Definitely turned me on to shamanism, and tarot. I became something of an obsession for a while. Tarot can be a real wormhole because there's so many strains in it. With there's alchemy, there's hermeticism, there's, you know, all this Greek philosophy, and you know, the more you study it, the more you study it, basically.
Yeah.
So that became a lot of fun, and so it seemed natural when I started writing to bring that in.
Yeah, there's so many forms of tarot out there. You got the oracle cards, which is somewhat of a form of tarot. I mean, it's a divination. But yeah, traveling all over the world. I mean, even some of the stuff that I've seen in China, mainland China, when I was there years ago, is phenomenal. All the mystical stuff that they have. But yeah, being able to travel the world and take in and bringing a piece of it back with you and incorporating. Do you incorporate some of these little pieces within your work?
Oh, absolutely. Another one of my series is about a paranormal museum. And so they have all these different artifacts, and a lot of them are based on things that I've seen when I was overseas in Africa and Eastern Europe and Western Europe. And so that's a fun way for me to put my souvenirs and things I've seen into the books.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just so much out there, and it's I don't know, it's supernatural, but it's also very human when you start to see how the things that people believe and the similarities between them, that we're not so different. And I don't know if we have a supernatural gene or if it just proves that the supernatural is something, if so many people are experiencing weird things. But it's a lot of fun to think about and a lot of fun to experience.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of similarities within all the cultural mysticisms all over the world. Is what the similarities is, okay, yeah, we're all human. We're all spirit. We all believe in some sort of higher entity, some higher creator, God, deity. And with those, whether it's a form of worship or if it's something trying to conjure up, our ancestral spirits to come help us, or God or whatnot, there's always some sort of trick of the trade that they use and stuff to be able to do that. So, but
yeah, I feel like everything's sort of pointing in the same direction.
Yeah. So before we wrap up the show, what would you like to offer as a takeaway for our listeners or viewers today?
Oh, this is the hardest question of all.
Could be a quote. It could be words of wisdom.
The paranormal is real, and buy my books. How's that?
Yes, very well put. And let me again, I'll bring the image up so people know what to look for. And it's about a week. It'll be about a week from now.
Yeah.
But as far as the broadcasting date when this actually airs, it'll already be out there, so people go out there and get it and stuff. That's an awesome cover. Beautiful. God, that's a beautiful cover.
Thank you. My cover designer did an amazing job, I think. I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, I am. That's really cool. I'd buy it. Heck yeah. Colors mean a lot when it comes to book covers. There's a lot of authors out there that really don't, self-publish, that they don't care about their cover. They're like,
I think they're really important. It's part of the whole package.
Yeah. And for those who are listening to the show, watch it on YouTube or Rumble, and you'll be able to see what it looks like. It's awesome. Really cool. So anyway, let me pull that down there. Kristen, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This has been really fun.
Likewise. And you are welcome back anytime when the next book comes out, or if you want to touch base on a story you would like to share.
I'll definitely reach
regardless.
out to you.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe we'll go paranormal hunting in Pennsylvania.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Yes, it's been a while since I've been up there, but I like to go. My best times of I. This is what I can remember in my mind. Anytime I see or visualize the areas where I lived at, like especially like the Poconos,
Hmm.
the dense, like you said, the dense forest, but it's always a cloudy day. It's always cloudy. The sun's not out, and it's just really mysterious. The early morning fog is laying on the ground, just waiting
Yeah.
for something to jump out. Just
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. I was in Mount Gretna in October, and it was, misty forest, sometimes drizzly, sometimes not, with acorns pinging off the roof. And
yeah,
yeah, it was wonderful.
yeah, cool. Thank you again, Kristen.
Thank you, Paul.
You are very welcome. Everybody, go check out our website, www.KristenKristenWeiss.com. Go. Thank you again for watching Conscious Radio Network's The Seance, and we will see you next week.